Okay, kids, let's talk about it. So, one of my absolutely most requested videos is what does a yod act like in a synastry or a composite chart? This is that video. A big reason why I have not done this up until now was because I didn't know how I wanted to word it. I still don't quite know how I want to word it, so you guys are just going to have to bear with me for this video. My main fear with talking about this is, one of the main purposes we are on this earth is to learn how to love one another. Whether it's a family member, whether it's a partner, whether it's just somebody at work that, you have to learn how to deal with or learn how to communicate better with. Our biggest teachers are relationships. And so with that, especially with romantic relationships, there comes a huge desire to find out if it's meant to be. And there's almost this nervous anxiety about it where it's like, I love this person so much. We've only been together for 3 months. Like, please show me something in the chart that proves that we are meant to be, that we're always going to be together, like all this stuff. And so, a person is in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Some lifers don't turn out to be lifers. Other people who we thought it was just a season, they turn out to be connected to us for the rest of our lives. So with that caveat, I'm going to tell you different things that it could indicate in the synastry and composite charts. But I do want you to know that even if you see some things in the chart that are like, this is forever, this is awesome, there is also half of the chart that is just circumstances, like things playing out in front of you and how you react to those things. And so even though the chart looks really good, there's always half that you have to take into account, which is just, playing out the other half of the chart. Just like there are positive and shadow qualities to each planet, each sign, each house, it's important to remember that with charts as well, especially in relationships. So first I'm going to talk about synastry. So first of all, what is synastry? Synastry is basically just your chart overlaying the other person's chart. So you can see connections like, okay, my moon is over here, it's trining your moon over here, our suns are squaring, our Plutos are conjunct because we were born like roughly within 10 years of each other or something, just like that. That is what a synastry chart is. It's just showing connections between people. So if you have a yod in a synastry chart, you could have 2 sextiling planets and your partner could have a planet or a luminary or something that is quincunxing both of them, forming that yod. So when it comes to a yod, you have that finger of God feeling where it's like, okay, this is destined, this is big, this is really important. But the nature of a quincunx is to be almost an irritant, almost an annoying quality where it's that itch that can't be scratched. It's that connection that almost connects but not quite. And when something is quincunxing, it's known as an inconjunct. So you're literally blind to that planet. So if your partner has that planet that's quincunxing both of your sextiling planets, you're not able to really see what's going on because of that inconjunct. That apex does not share a mode or an element or a masculine-feminine quality. It's going to be completely different in all those ways. So when you have that in a synastry chart, there is going to be this feeling of like, I just don't get you. And that is really attractive at first, where it's just like, there's just something about you. There is something that I just can't put my finger on. It is so interesting, very intriguing, mystery, mysterious. And there's more of this like almost draw, like this connection to it where it's like, okay, tell me more. Like, what is going on with you? It can also be an indication of knowing somebody before, where it's like that feeling, when they walk into the room or when you meet them for the first time or something, where there's this this almost familiarity where it's like, I've known you before, we've done this before, but I can't quite put my finger on it. So because of the nature of a yod, where it's that irritant quality, that push to do something more, that connection that doesn't quite connect, that you're constantly trying to resolve, when you have it in a synastry chart, there is that dynamic as well, where it's not necessarily this like destiny point, like yes, you guys are definitely going to be together or anything like that, but there is this constant work that has to be done within the relationship. And you know, if you don't like that in relationships, if you want someone who you can just sit on the couch and eat chips with and you guys are both happy and like nobody cheats, everybody's happy, you know, you're just coexisting, that's not really going to be the dynamic if you have a Yod in your Synastry chart. It's going to be more communication, more misunderstanding and reconnecting and figuring the other person out. Since you are aligned to this person, to this quality, there's going to also be a lot of self-reflection where it's like, what am I not seeing? Like, what am I assuming about this person that is not actually a true quality with it? It's also really important to remember that once that relationship ends, once it concludes, the Yod goes away. So just because you have this Yod with one partner doesn't mean you're going to have it with the next partner when it comes to a Synastry chart. So if you're just like, oh, it's meant to be, look at this Synastry Yod, you know, it's like, it's a finger of God, it's a destiny point, all this stuff, it goes away if the relationship ends. So that's just another thing to keep in mind. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are destined to be with this person. It just means that there are lessons you are destined to learn for the duration of that relationship, whether it is until death or whether it is for the next year or 6 months or something like that. So that would be my take on a Yod in a Synastry chart. So for a Yod in a composite chart, first of all, let me just briefly explain a composite chart. Basically, a composite chart is if you take the midpoint of every single planet and put that into a chart. So if my sun is at 0 degrees of Scorpio and then my partner's sun is at 29 degrees of Scorpio, our composite chart would be like 14 degrees 50, 14 degrees 30 minutes of Scorpio. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. Like if our planets are here, you combine them, they go here. So it's the same with Mercury, same with moons, all this stuff. And so what that talks about is just the dynamic of the relationship, the story that the relationship will take on. And so you might have a grand trine in your chart, and then the other person has a T-square, and then when you combine both of those, both aspect patterns just dissolve. They just go away because of your dynamic with each other. So if you have a Yod in your composite chart, it tells a story of what you become when you're together. So a finger of God is going to point to this destiny point, this thing that you're supposed to accomplish, this lesson that you're supposed to learn and master. So when you are together and you have a certain Yod, there is this thing that you guys are supposed to accomplish when you're together. Again, if you guys split up, the Yod goes away. It just dissolves, it's just gone. So it might be the type of thing where when you're with this certain partner, you make this Yod in your chart pointing to Mars in the 10th house as the apex. He is a police officer, you are a social worker. You guys are both advocates in the community, fighting for what you believe in, making sure everybody is safe, defending the innocent, like all these things. And then if you guys split up for any reason, you might both take on different career paths because that was something that together was so important and integral to who you were. However, when you separate that chart and go back to both of your natal charts, you might be doing something completely different because that pull, that together goal that you had in that composite chart with that finger of God, that goes away now. Like now that's different. So another thing that might happen, again, depending on the apex, depending on the house, is when you guys are together, there's this common goal, this common interest, veganism, for instance. So when you guys are together, neither of you were vegans beforehand, but then you get together, you guys watch all these documentaries, you listen to a few health podcasts, and you're like, okay, let's be vegan. We're gonna do this together. This is so important to us. It's hard, it's not an easy process, but you do it and it's so important to you. When the relationship is over, neither of you guys are vegans anymore. It's just something that you guys did together that you felt very drawn to, you felt morally it was important to you, like all this stuff. So the Yod tells a story within the relationship. It is this destiny point, this common pull, this resolution that you have to come to, this balance that you have to reach within the relationship. And with the composite chart as well, there is this dynamic of us together makes this power couple for the common good, the good of everyone. And the lessons that you learn and the things that you accomplish are not just for you, they're for everyone who sees you. They're for everyone that you touch. So, brief anecdotal story. My fiance and I, we both have separate yods in our charts, but then we have completely different yods in our composite chart. And it's interesting because it is extremely accurate when you look at it. Like, I have my destined goals that I have to accomplish in this lifetime with my personal yods. He has one really strong yod, which, I mean, you can just definitely see in his life. But then when you put our charts together and make this composite chart, it's very interesting because, you know, the relationship that we have together is completely different than the relationship we have with ourselves. You know, the relationship of our own natal promise. And so when you put us together and you see these other yods that we have to accomplish, you know, we've both had long-term relationships before, and who we are together as a couple was nothing like who we were in previous relationships. And so, you know, as much as I want to look at our charts and feel like this is forever, I'm so excited to be with this person for the rest of my life, and as much as I hope that that is the case, I am not a believer that the chart can really tell you that. I believe we have free will. I also believe that I can really mess things up, he can really mess things up. And so the best I can do is wake up every day and do my best to be the kind of partner that I personally would want to be in a relationship with, and not someone who is selfish or narcissistic or anything and then just blame it on the chart if things don't work out. So I hope this is helpful. If you guys have any stories, please let me know. Thank you guys so much for following along. It has been such an honor to talk to you and to share my perspectives on astrology. Thanks so much for hanging out. See ya.